Hello, welcome to the Snap UK podcast Super Championship game recap.
What? Just out of interest, before we start, what are you going to call it next week?
The Super Bowl.
That's the following week, surely.
Oh, so yeah, no, we're going to call this. Oh, well, I guess what
the Super Pro Bowl,
the Super X Pro
pre
Bowl.
Super Bowl,
Super pre Super Bowl. Yeah, I like it. Griff was telling me that it's because NFL wants to. They called it the Super Wild Card because they wanted to associate Super with NFL. So because of the Super Bowl. So I've just gone.
Marketing genius came up with that.
Yeah. So I've gone full.
Someone got paid about $100,000 for that bullshit.
I know. It's but yeah. Anyway, there's only 3 of us this week. 4th Inches is busy working, and Griff is at the vinegar strokes of a picture of Tom Brady right now. But hopefully they'll be back with us next week to go preview the Super Bowl. So should we get into the games? Because we'll go through the news afterwards. So we'll start with Bucks 31, Packers 26. It's the one thing we didn't want to happen. It's the Bucks. Not only that, they were going to be at home for the Super Bowl. And
there's just so many storylines that I'm going to be sick of in 2 weeks' time, which I'm already sick of. Because even
I was going to say, can you really last 2 weeks?
It was. I mean, look. I'm going to caveat this. What Tom Brady's done as a career is phenomenal. Massive respect to him. Awesome career, awesome player, naturally the greatest player ever to play the game. I take none of that away from him. This is not on Tom Brady. I'm not moaning about him at all. Nothing to do with him. But God, I'm sick of seeing. Do you know what? Tom Brady's had more wins than all these quarterbacks put together in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Do you know what? Tom Brady's been to more Super Bowls than anyone else over and over and over again. Look, he's been in the league like 20 odd years. There's a good chance you could probably pull out a stat about pretty much everything. He's grown longer toenails than any other quarterback playing in the NFL because he's been in Super Bowl 10 times or whatever it might be. I don't know. I'm just sick of it already. And we've got 2 weeks of this. Like, it's just going to be like, and again, brilliant quarterback. Can't fault him. But God, please, media people, turn it down a bit. Let's just talk about football, not the fact that he's been around for ages.
The only thing I would say is, and the only thing I think that is fair enough to talk about is the fact that, yet again, his character saw him through in a test, in what was a testing game in the end. And really, this game was, Green Bay let this get too far ahead. You're not going to come back that far against a Brady-led team. No matter how bad he was in the second half, he wasn't going to make enough mistakes for you to make up 18 points on a Brady, and especially with that Bucks defense. That Bucks defense was immense. So that's the real story: is the Packers let them get too far away.
They did.
Yeah.
He did make mistakes, but the Packers just didn't. I think for 2 of the 3 interceptions, after 2 of them, the Packers just punted the ball away. They didn't even get a first down, I think, after 2 of them. And then you look at, and I'm sure it's all about that, the decision by LaFleur right at the end to kick the field goal rather than go for it. I kind of get where he's coming from. I don't agree with it at all. I think it was the wrong decision. I think everyone said that. But even if it was a 50-50 coin flip of a decision, you've got Tom Brady on the other side of the ball. You're not playing against a rookie quarterback. You're playing against, as the media pointed out, the most experienced quarterback in the world ever. He's not, and a decent coach on the other sideline as well. They're not going to give you the ball back. You're not getting it back if you've given it to him with 2 minutes left.
I think it was an absolutely crazy decision. And I cannot understand the logic behind it. So you're 8 points behind on the 8-yard line. If you don't score, you give them the ball on the 8-yard line, and you still only need one score. So I have no idea what the field goal gains you. You then give them the ball back on at least the 25, probably. So what exactly are you gaining? They've only got to go 35 yards to get a field goal.
Yep,
absolutely.
And I get Rodgers, wasn't having an MVP style game, and there were a number of times he didn't connect with Devontae Adams. I think they tried there were 6 attempts between Rodgers and Adams in the red zone, 7, sorry, and they only connected once. But I guess if you're looking at that in isolation, you're like, okay, yeah, that kind of makes sense. But it's Aaron Rodgers. It's not Jimmy Garoppolo. It's Aaron bloody Rodgers. He's the MVP. He's going to be the MVP of this season. He's been playing lights out. Yes, if he's missed 3 passes in a row previously, I'd still give Aaron Rodgers the ball and let him do it.
That sequence was a bit strange.
At all.
It was almost like they hadn't decided this is now or never, because on that third down, third down, I think it was, Rodgers could easily, even if he hadn't got in, he could have got within the 5 yards. And then Jamal Williams did, okay, or Dylan might have been able to punch the ball in, give you options. 8 yards out, it was likely to be a pass play, wasn't it? Aaron Jones was out of the game for a large part of the game. And I know he didn't really get it going too much, 6 runs, for 27 yards, but he's still a threat if he's on the pitch. I think he got a chest injury, didn't he? But that was definitely an issue for the Packers. Is they lost that dual threat at times, especially in the red zone, because they had their best red zone offense in the league this year.
Yeah. And I think they didn't establish the run at all. Like you look at, okay, I know Aaron Jones got injured; he wasn't 100%, but they only, outside of his carries, they only ran it another 10 times. And I know they're chasing the game, but the Packers, their offense has been built this year on play action and having a good running game. And AJ Dillon's a good running back. Like, he only got 3 carries, but he got 17 yards. That's 5.5 yards a carry more. Like, give it. And to your point, Gary, like if Rodgers has just got another 5 yards and you're on the 3-yard line, the size of AJ Dillon, you'd put money on him getting in there. At least try it, and then at least like the Bucs are starting on the 3-yard line, and that's tough for any quarterback. So that decision was just crazy decision.
And I think we were always expecting to see that run game struggle. The Bucs were 8th in the league this year, rush defense.
Yeah.
They have a very good defensive line. JPP's been brilliant all year, isn't he? Like career year, and Barrett towards the end of the season has just come with him. So, it's been a defense that's improved, and I think that Bucs defense, the reason why they went from, what were they, 7-5 at one point?
Yeah,
and then they went to
7-5.
Then they've won every, and
they've won every game since.
The defense has turned up more often and more consistently. It's not because Brady's done anything spectacular. Missed Antonio Brown for this game. He overthrew Mike Evans a number of times. As soon as you tried to blitz him, he crapped his pants and threw the ball about a mile up in the air. Brady didn't lose the game, but he certainly did not go out there and win it. And the other thing I think they've worked really well was, as soon as we know they've put a lot of people and a lot of pieces around Brady, but Fournette they've managed really well. They spent the season getting him fit, and this weekend he looked great. Leonard Fournette, the touchdown,
really did.
Was it like a 20-yard touchdown? Absolutely brilliant. He looks big, but then he also looks like agile at the moment, which he hasn't looked since like college. And he seems, fit. He's played half the snaps he played last year, and they seem to have options around. They had the dual threat, didn't they? That Packers didn't have, and you just don't let them get nearly 20 points ahead. That's just crazy.
It was crazy, but I mean, they did well to come back to within 8 points, and you thought that they had the momentum and all the mistakes that Brady was having. This wasn't one of Brady's best games, like we said. 20 or 36, 208 yards, 3 touchdowns, but 3 interceptions. His passing rating was lower than Aaron Rodgers. He made mistakes, but there was just no.
His passing rate was 51, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Slightly 51. Yeah. Like, if it was Mitch Trubisky, that
You'd
was in
be
there,
going off. Well, yeah.
I'd be listening that the Bears are only there because of the defense. Mitch Trubisky should be benched for Nick Foles. But now I'm having to listen to Tom Brady's, like I say, he's had an amazing career. But I'm having to just listen to Brady. Like, if that was Mitch Trubisky or Jimmy Garoppolo, everyone would be going, well, can the quarterback lead them to the Super Bowl?
Yeah.
Isn't really taking the team with them, blah, blah, blah. You just can't, you've got to have a balance.
You're absolutely right. Yeah. And at the same time, the Packers defense was just, I don't know, it just looked lost. And we were chatting before about Kevin King, and especially on that touchdown right at the end of the first half. Yeah, he was out of position, and he let the wide receiver get the wrong side of him. But he had no safety help. I don't know. And I was watching Sky Sports earlier, and Florio and Sims were dissecting that play. And it's like there's one safety, there's two linebackers who are doing nothing. It was like the play call was just wrong. It was defend the touchdown. Like, all right, feel free to give them the field goal away, but don't let them get a touchdown because that was criminal.
But that's bad coaching again, isn't it? Because they were so scared of giving him 3 points, they gave him 7.
Yeah. 7.
And
it's ridiculous.
It's Scotty Miller, wasn't it? And he's done that all year. I mean, it's any sort of trouble like that. You just know Scotty Miller's just going to run down the field, and Brady can still find him. It's so infuriating to watch.
It is, yeah.
Yeah. We try and remain impartial for the whole part, apart from the Bucks. But
I am really happy that like a coach, and we had this last year of Andy Reid. We've got Andy Reid again this year. Spoiler alert. I am really happy for Bruce Arians. Like,
can we just call him Andy Reid forever?
Yeah.
That's bad.
Yeah. I am happy for Bruce Arians because like he does the complete opposite to what Matt Fleur is doing. He was like, just take the risk, be aggressive, and I think that's the thing we're seeing from coaches in the playoffs. Like the ones who are being aggressive are winning. If you're playing conservative, like it just doesn't work, and we saw that in this game. Bruce Arians aggressive on that that last pass before the half. Go and get it, throw it up, see what we can get. Andy Reid last week with the fourth down call for Henny to Tyreek Hill to kind of seal the game. That kind of aggressive nature is what's winning games in this playoffs, and probably will do moving forward. Take a field goal and give the ball back to Tom Brady. A, it's conservative, and B, it's just bloody stupid.
I wonder how much like analytics plays into it, because these are the sort of the safe plays that sort of analytics would lead you to. But of course, it's the championship game. You're playing against Brady and Mahomes, and maybe not Allen as such, but Allen's probably on the verge of those people. And these guys bend analytics. As Gary says, Brady is the definition of clutch. You don't get the ball back from him.
So when you break this game down, there was lots of individual moments where the Green Bay Packers didn't quite do their job. So obviously, like the kick return after the Packers had scored, before Brady threw that touchdown, they allowed him to get to like the 40-yard line. That's why they could throw that pass.
Yeah, true.
It wasn't some long drive, was it? He had 12 seconds. So it was because the kick return wasn't very good, and some of their chases of the kick returns weren't great. They had a couple of, I think they had at least 2 decent kick returns, the Bucks. So there was that. Then there was the decision by, the 2 bad decisions by Matt LaFleur, I think. And then Rodgers didn't deliver when he was in the red zone like he normally would. So you start adding it all up, and then Kevin King did not have a good game, and he made a couple of bad errors at bad times. Well, there you go. There's 6 or 7 reasons why, despite Tom Brady's 3 turnovers, it wasn't enough. It wasn't just one thing. There was a few stacking reasons why the Packers were not good enough. And Rodgers is now 1-4 in championship games.
Yeah.
And it was his first time ever playing a home championship game, and he lost. So I know Dunk was relying on the cold, but No chance.
Come
mate.
on. Yeah, Tom Brady's been playing in the cold pretty much his whole life, right? It's not exactly balmy in Boston, is it, this time of year? So, I mean, you hit the nail on the head. There were lots of kind of individual areas. You can't pick any one player from the Packers who you can say, you know what, he had a great game. Feel sorry for him because he lost. Like, even Aaron Rodgers didn't have an Aaron Rodgers 2020 version type game. And, you know, his outbursts at the end of the match, I think, kind of really let him down because he just, I really loved it. I've been pretty much as critical of Aaron Rodgers in the past as any of us on this. I'd really come around to the fact that, you know, he's properly turned around his attitude. This is a team, they're playing well, he's leading it. And then for him to kind of throw all that away in that last kind of gasp press conference, where what he should have done is turn around and said, do you know what, it's really crap, we lost, we didn't play well. We've obviously got to decide our future, but well done to Tom Brady, well done to the Buccaneers. No, he made it all about himself. You know, lots of people have got to decide their futures, me included, and suddenly all the headlines are about Aaron Rodgers, which is what he wants. So that was annoying. Yeah,
there's a time for platitudes, and just phone it in. Really do.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you know, should we discuss, you know, Rodgers' future? Because I mean,
well, so you could, like, the thing is, right, like, this loss could even go all the way back to last year's draft when the Packers moved up, to take a quarterback who was like literally never been on the field, when their defense and their wide receiving core both needed a little bit extra. Yeah, they were 13-3 last year, 13-3 this year, and they used their first round pick to add nothing apart from some, you know, a little kick up the arse to Aaron Rodgers. They didn't add anything on the field, did they? With that very valuable pick. Like, what number did they pick Love at? Like about 16 or something?
No, I think it was
the second half, so it's near the end.
Yeah, but they traded up.
Still,
they traded up. I think it was in the 20s, mid-20s.
I'm going to look that up now.
But yeah,
I was just doing that.
the longer the season's gone on, the more sort of, because I mean Valdez-Scantling was actually all right this week, but there's just, you know, there's no one. He goes to no one else. You know, really.
26.
Yeah, it's Devontae Adams or no one really. When you know it's a clutch moment.
Did look like that, and like, yeah, that your first round pick, unless you're in a position to kind of absolutely win now, and you've got absolutely no needs at all on the pitch to win a Super Bowl, and you can afford to use that pick to draft your quarterback of the future, fine, do it. But I don't think the Packers were ever in that position. They're definitely in a win now window, but we could all identify 2 or 3 needs outside of quarterback that they needed. One was receiver. They could have gone tight end. They could have gone defensive tackle or middle linebacker because their run defense, you know, against the 49ers in an NFC Championship game, they didn't have a run defense. And there have been times this year where their run defense hasn't been great either. So there are needs on the pitch, and you expect your first round pick to play from the start, realistically, or at least have considerable snaps in every single game. And you know, Jordan Love hasn't had a single snap, not even when the Packers were, you know, had a massive lead, and he maybe get some game time. We haven't seen anything from him. It's obviously not his fault. You're playing behind an MVP quarterback. You don't expect to see that. But all that's just piss Rodgers off, because you're right. He had Devontae Adams or no one. He could have passed to Tonyan. He could have tried to get one through to Equinemius St. Brown or Lazard or Marcus Valdez-Scantling, but he doesn't trust them. He never really has. We've seen them all make drops, and I don't think in those moments where you're up against it and it's like your last play and you need 8 points, Rodgers doesn't trust them enough.
Yeah,
Packers have got like no cap space as well. They're predicted to be over the cap at the moment for next year.
Yeah,
So at the moment, you're going to bench Jordan Love behind Aaron Rodgers for 2 or 3 years and eat up all of his rookie contract before you, or 70% of it before you even know if he's any good.
Yeah.
Then you've got to pay him or move on. Like, it's very strange. Like, now another great piece on that defense, and they might have been there.
And yeah, I mean, if they're struggling with cap space, it's contract years for Jamal Williams and Aaron Jones.
It's also contract year. Well, it's not contract years, but between Preston Smith and Zadarius Smith, that's $38 million of your cap next year on 2 pass rushers who didn't produce the goods in the biggest possible game. So there's a lot for the front office to do going into the off season. Some of it's going to be not very nice, and because I like you say, they've got to reduce the cap somehow. So you're not going to keep Aaron Rodgers happy by taking away decent players and drafting potential rookies who don't see the field.
Yeah. Oh God, I was quite enjoying the happy Aaron Rodgers.
I was as well.
I don't want to go back to moaning about him every week because he's.
I was enjoying seeing him enjoy himself because when he does, it's like it really is enjoyable to watch because he's so flipping amazing.
He's brilliant, isn't he?
They've got to play. Yeah. They've got to pay Devin Funchess $2.2 million next year. I didn't even know he was there.
I didn't know he was there. What?
I vaguely remember him getting signed. Has he been on injured reserve the whole time?
Must have been.
Is he a COVID person or?
Potentially, yeah.
This week, I didn't know they had Tavon Austin. That must have been a late. Must have been
a late addition.
Really late addition. But yeah, I think Duncan even. I was like, when did we sign Tavon Austin? And I was like, I didn't know what to say. I was like, I don't know. I assumed he'd seen a ghost or something, but no, he was there. Tavon Austin was there. But anyway, we won't go into. We're not going to go into predictions and all that anyway. So, but we'll just go straight into the next game. Bills 24, Chiefs 38. So both my predictions were wrong this weekend. My super predictions. And I mean, I'm not going to lie. I watched the start and I thought, oh God, the Chiefs are they're doing the same as last year. They're starting really slowly. Can they pick it up? And it turns out, yes, they're a really good football team. I'm
really disappointed Griff isn't here because, for weeks we've been hearing last year the Chiefs were blowing teams away, and this year, one score win, and this time 9 points down. Was anyone really worried?
No,
not really. But
not really. And then they did exactly what they did last year, when they just went bang, 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 bang.
I'd like to say I've been kind of predicting this for the Chiefs the last few weeks. They've been keeping the tinder dry, and I think on Sunday we saw the proper Kansas City Chiefs. I kind of feel sorry for Buffalo because I would have loved to see them win their game. I would love to see them in the Super Bowl. I think they've had an amazing season. Nothing should be taken away from that team, from where they've come from 2-3 years ago to where they are now. And I think they've got a really bright future ahead of them. But this Chiefs team is just unbelievable. This is the start of a dynasty. I think kind of even Sean McDermott after has said we've got to go into the offseason and figure out how to beat the Chiefs. I think any team in the AFC who's serious about winning the AFC needs to do exactly the same because they've got 3 pieces in Mahomes, Tyreek Hill, and Travis Kelce, and you need to be able to stop two of them. Because if you stop one of them, the other 2 play well. You need to be able to contain 2 of them, and I just don't know how that's possible. And everyone else forms bit parts around them. They're just brilliant to watch. It's fun.
Yeah, it's fantastic. And you see Hardman because he muffed a punt.
Yeah,
and Mahomes and Kelsey coming up to him, straight after, you're gonna get us a big play, and of course the next play he gets 40 yards and then goes for a touchdown, and
Yeah, well, I think that was clever coaching. Getting straight back in the game straight away. Yeah. Not like, well, we're going to leave you alone for a little while. And I think the thing that always goes, a little bit underplayed is how good that Chiefs defense is as well.
Yeah.
They do have a bit of a bend, don't break defense that's built over time, especially at big moments. That defense is nowhere near as brittle as it was. And Chris Jones is, right up there in the top 5 or 10 defensive players in this league.
Absolutely.
He is a monster. He just moves players around. And I think they really can make a big difference. They made Josh Allen throw the ball 48 times.
I know.
Josh
I was
Allen.
looking. Yeah, I was looking at the stats, and that running game is it's bad. Like if you take, because Josh Allen had 7 carries to 88 yards, you take that out. Devin Singletary's next, 6 carries for 17 yards, and then TJ Yeldon. I didn't even know who's still in the league. 3 carries for 15 yards. There's another one. I kept hearing his name. I was like, hang on, Yeldon. The guy used to be at the Jags.
Yeah, he came back last week, didn't he? I saw him for the first time. Yeah.
So, that's one area where the Bills need to get better, because this season hasn't been great running game outside of Josh Allen. I think Josh Allen was their best, their leading rusher to the team as well. You don't, unless you're the Baltimore Ravens, you really don't want that for your quarterback. But yeah, to your point, Gary, like the Chiefs, I thought Tyrann Mathieu has had an amazing 2 games. Like, quiet season, the last 2 games, he's just been absolutely unbelievable.
He is a stunning play, and he does. He seems to. He's all right for the season. And he's got that big game mentality, hasn't he? He turns up for the playoffs. He's a brilliant player, absolutely brilliant.
Yeah,
and I'll tell you what, Kelsey as well. Like we were touching on, he got 13 receptions, record for a postseason game. 13 in one game. 13.
It's crazy, isn't it?
118 yards. And 2 touchdowns. And Tyreek Hill, I tell you what, I tried to watch him. I watched about probably half of this game live because it was late at night, obviously, for us. And the guy, he is just so rapid. And he reminds me of Jason Robinson. He doesn't slow down when he moves direction. He literally, I watched some film of Jason Robinson playing for Wigan in his early days. He literally can go left, right, backwards or straight ahead without slowing down, and immediately after the other one. I don't even know how it's physically possible, but he got 172 yards in the playoff game. That's just mad.
And I know we're not talking predictions, but the last time the Chiefs played the Bucs, he got over 200 yards in the first quarter.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, Hill is the old thing is he could beat you in a telephone box because he's absolutely. But they have special players. That's And actually, I want to get to a point where I'm not when Mahomes does something brilliant or Hill or Kelsey, whatever they do something brilliant. I don't want to be like one of those internet Twitter fanboys. Oh my god! But I'm one of those because every time they do, I'm like, oh fucking hell, that's brilliant. And that.
Wasn't it one of the touchdowns to Trevor Kelsey? It was another one of those kind of underarm shovel passes from Mahomes, and it's like there's no other quarterback doing that. There's no other head coach drawing up that scheme at the moment. Like Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes they're on a level by themselves at the moment. Like I think we've probably got. And I saw him. I think I sent you guys the meme in the WhatsApp group where it's like you got the original Yoda and then you got the Mandalorian Yoda, and that's exactly how it is at the moment. You got Tom Brady and Patrick Mahomes, because Mahomes, what is it now? 2 Super Bowls in his first 3 seasons starting. You just can't see him not doing it again and again and again. I came into this year thinking the Chiefs could go 16-0. And bar the last game where they put out all the reserves and lost, and that odd loss to the Raiders, that absolutely could have been there.
Yeah.
I don't understand how anyone is going to beat them. Someone will figure it out. Something will happen. But at the moment, it's a conundrum, isn't it?
Before we get really into the Bills, did Josh Allen cry with a couple of minutes to go? Because he was apologising for getting overly emotional. I didn't see it, but
I don't know. He was going. I mean, I've seen videos of him going around and consoling his teammates and giving Stefan Diggs a hug and that sort of. I don't know that he cried or not, but you can, you know what, as a supporter, especially when it comes to
Wait
football
till after the game,
and watching England go out on penalties, I've cried a good few times towards the end of the matches. So I wouldn't blame them. They obviously, this is, I think, kind of the NFL is one of those things because lots does change between different seasons, and it's that so many emotional highs and lows that you get to the end of the game knowing that it's the end, and you got to start it all again. It's tough to get to this game every year. Like you got to go through 16 grueling games and then 2 playoff games to get here. I think it's probably tired. It's probably tired and emotional, as we'd like to say.
I think the AFC and especially the AFC East is going to be like that. It depends where Deshaun Watson ends up. That's going to be a massive thing. There's 2 big players that might get him there, and
I can see him in the AFC East.
If he goes to the AFC East, that division, like the Bills aren't even guaranteed to go to the playoffs next year.
Nah.
Because the Patriots won't be as bad again. They just won't. Because they'll have a load of their COVID players back, and Bill will do something. I'm not, I'm not quite as sold on, the fact he's the Messiah or anything. He's just a sleeveless boy. He's a sleeveless boy. That's all he is. You can keep that one. But
trademark.
That's it. But they won't be as bad, will they? They won't be as bad.
No, I don't imagine so.
The Jets can't be as bad forever. They've got Robert Saleh now, and they've got the option of trading away from Darnold or trying to do something with him. But apparently Watson's come out and said he would rather play in New York, hasn't he?
Yeah.
I think Saleh.
Of course they want him. Like everyone fucking. I'll want him.
Want him or can afford to go or want to pay the price it's going to be to go up and get him.
I think it's easier.
What do you reckon it is? What do you reckon it is though? Darnold, I think it's 2 first rounds and a third.
Yeah.
I think it's at least the equivalent of 3 first rounds, and if you're counting Darnold as a first round quarterback,
he's worth a third rounder apparently. Darnold.
Yeah. So I think you've got to go 3 first rounds, realistically. And I don't think there are many teams in the position to do it. Because at the end, we'll come on to this in the news, but the thing the Texans want is draft picks because that's the end. That's what they haven't got. They need to rebuild that team. So they're going to be, and they know how good he is. They've seen him play for 2, 3 years, 4 years now. So what are you going to do? You're going to risk picking a quarterback, a rookie quarterback, and spending one draft pick on that, or are you going to get a guaranteed player? I don't know.
And it's the quarterback market is getting it's strange because it's actually
ridiculous at the moment.
There's a lot of them, but the elite ones, you don't get Matt Staffords and Deshaun Watsons every year. This is going to be a really strange year. But
let's talk about the news.
Let's talk about the news. Let's go back.
A bit more.
Let's go back to the Bills. Because they're a really good team, but they're just. They're a team that's been built over 2 years now, effectively. The offense is, apart from I think Allen's the most experienced one there, really, at 3 years. And he's getting better and better. That's really great to see. If they could add a running game,
I think they need to still improve on that offensive line. I think occasionally you've seen rushers get to Allen a little bit too often, and his legs gets him out of trouble, and he probably reduces the amount of sacks that a more conventional pocket passer would take. Improve the offensive line, get something out of the rushing game. Make sure you keep those 3 receivers, Stephon Diggs, John Brown, and Cole Beasley. Cole Beasley, who apparently played with a broken leg through most of the second half.
Last 3 weeks. Last 3 weeks. He claims he's had it.
Bloody hell.
But
I'm guessing it's not a serious break.
I'm guessing not, because he could, play football.
Sounds hard, but I'm guessing if you can play, it's not that broken. Because otherwise you'd be hobbling, like you wouldn't be very quick. Although it'd be interesting to see if he can sustain this level of performance, because for the rest of his career he's been distinctly averaged. And you do see this sometimes with these wide receiver 2 and 3. They have 1 year. Defensive coordinators see that they're getting more action. They come up with schemes to get. It could be nobody next year again. That sounds a bit harsh, but I'm not convinced that they've got quite enough. Definitely a tight end. They need a better tight end.
Yeah.
I would say tight end and a running back. Yeah, because they've had Singletary, and who's the other one that's been there through the year? There's been two.
Zach Moss.
Zach Moss, and neither of them have done anything. They were useless in fantasy as well. You never knew which one of them was going to score you 8 points.
Yeah, I think they need to get better pass rush as well. I think Jerry Hughes is getting on a bit now. Ed Oliver, I think, solid, but he's not kind of a pass rusher. If they can get a decent edge rusher, just to really add that kind of X factor to that defense, I think that's kind of where they need. And I'm sure that's kind of where they're going to go in the first round of the draft. I think they'll go edge rush. Unless a tight end like Kyle Pitts drops them, that won't happen.
I mean, the thing is, compared to a lot of other teams, I sort of trust them to do that, because over the last few years, that's what they've been knocking it out of the park.
Yeah.
Quite frankly. So, hopefully that doesn't change. Because, as Gary's mentioned, the AFC as a whole, it's just going to be fascinating for years to come now.
When's Josh Allen's contract year? Because he's not on a lot of money next year.
No, he can be offered a new contract now. So after your third year, you can get a new contract. So I reckon we're going to see him, Baker Mayfield, and Lamar Jackson all get new contracts over the off season.
Yeah, so that doesn't leave them a lot of cap space at the moment.
No.
Well, I mean, they've got another year.
Wow, Cole Beasley's paid quite a lot of money, isn't he? $7.5 million.
Yeah, it's not cheap. I think he's worth it though, because he's, I think I said it last week. He's like Edelman to Josh Allen.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. What Edelman was to Brady. Sorry. So I think he's that important. So even if you don't re-sign him, you need to find another player that's like him in the slot. It's good. Good draft for wide receivers again this year, by the way.
It is. I think you probably might not see Allen get one this year because of the tightness of the cap, but gives him some time to.
Yeah, it's all how they structure it. So if you ever listen to Mike Florio, like it's not a contract; it's a contract extension. But he'll talk about new money and old money. And it's like, the new money doesn't kick in until here, because Patrick Mahomes is technically still on his rookie contract. Yeah, his new money won't properly kick in until either next year or the year after. I'm not sure which, but so there's way, and again, it's going to be that clever accounting that you probably pay extra for and probably is worth another draft pick.
Well, I mean, is anything more you want to cover on these games, or should we move on to the news? Because we don't want to do predictions yet because the other two aren't here. And actually, let's just see what happens over the virtual bye week.
All I would say is that Mahomes was able to do this with the Bills with his turf toe, and he's got another 2 weeks to recover now.
His toe looked right.
I think he still wasn't quite as quick as normal, but I think he'll be even better by the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
That's just worth mentioning.
You're right, and I think don't underestimate the fact that he has been there before now. Like this is not his first time at the rodeo. He's done it. Got the ring.
Isn't it the first time two Super Bowl winning quarterbacks have played each other in the Super Bowl?
Yeah, possibly.
I'm
going to look that up.
I know that can't be right because Manning's played Brady twice, hasn't he? That was something I saw on Twitter, which is obviously bullshit.
The internet's always right, isn't it?
Yeah, maybe two MVPs.
Yeah, no, it's happened I think 2 or 3 times actually, and each time, and when people have faced each other in multiple Super Bowls, the same person's won every time, haven't they?
Oh, have they?
Yeah, so like Brady lost to Manning twice, and whenever else, I think there's 2 or 3 times where people have played each other twice throughout history. And it's always been a 2-0 record to whoever won the first game. They've ended up winning both games.
Oh, well, hopefully.
Do you know who the defensive coordinator is for the Chiefs?
No.
It is Steve Spagnuolo.
Who is it?
Who was also the defensive coordinator for the Giants when they beat Brady.
There you go.
There's loads of like little bits, and we'll go into it more next week. There's loads of little kind of matchups going on in the Super Bowl. You got Lev Bell versus Antonio Brown as well.
Yeah, whilst Big Ben watches it from home, debating whether to retire. Yeah, Ben, go. Go. Because honestly, the Steelers with Haskins next year would be so funny. But let's move on to another quarterback. Matt Stafford, of course, has requested a trade. Lots of conjecture over this weekend that it looked like 49ers were very keen. I think you're going to be linked with every quarterback that possibly mentions. I might have a look at I might have a look at a new deal somewhere else. The 49ers want him. 49ers
literally is every single quarterback. Like I've seen mock-ups of what Stafford, Aaron Rodgers, Sam Darnold, not to mention Deshaun Watson, not to mention every single quarterback in the draft bar Trevor Lawrence. Mock-ups of them all in 49ers uniforms, and they all look lovely.
I think this has got Broncos written all over it.
It would be a very Broncos-esque quarterback, actually.
I think it's got Broncos written all over it. Big arm.
Yeah.
He's good. Won't ever quite be good enough. It's got Broncos literally like surely he's going to the Broncos. You might as well just put your bets on now.
Well,
yeah.
I think there'll be a few inquiries. I certainly think the 49ers are one. And the rumor that the 49ers were talking to the Lions came out before the whole trade request, which I downplayed the original rumor in the first place, and I was a bit surprised it actually might be true. I could also see him going to New England. Like Belichick would love a quarterback like Stafford, reliable, doesn't turn the ball over that much, big arm. He's got something like the fourth quarter comebacks in the league at the moment, and the other three quarterbacks who've got it are all like either retired above him, or either retired or 5 years older than him.
He's played for the Lions. Like, of course, he's got to make a comeback every fourth quarter.
Exactly,
a certain percentage is going to happen.
But look how good
could he be part of a 3-team trade for Deshaun Watson? Because there is talk of that. Because if you don't have a quarterback they want, or you don't have quite enough picks, is there a way where one quarterback goes somewhere to release Matt Stafford to go to, say, Houston, for Houston to give Deshaun Watson up? So then, is it so impossible, so difficult to make that Watson trade with one team? Do you need to maybe make it a 3-team deal?
I don't think it does happen. It does. It happens more frequently in basketball. We saw it with
James Harden
recently. I think it has. I'm pretty sure it has happened in the NFL before, but I don't know if they could wangle anything that at that level of quarterback. I don't know, but yeah, it could take something like that.
What's Stafford worth though?
I think they could get a first for him.
No way.
No,
you reckon Stafford's worth a first?
I'm not saying he's worth a first. I reckon they could get a first.
I reckon you could get a first for him.
He's 32.
I think
that's expensive.
32. Also, he's not expensive. He's a $20 million quarterback.
He'd be cheaper for the 49ers to get than Garoppolo if they kept Garoppolo.
Yeah.
He's 32. He's shown that he can obviously play in this league. He's putting up records with a really bang average at best team. He could go to the Colts. Imagine behind that offensive line and that running game.
Yeah. Colts don't seem
the Bengals got a first and a second for Carson Palmer.
Yeah,
exactly.
In 2011.
Yeah. Jamal Adams went for 2 firsts. He's a safety.
Yeah. I think you're going to see something similar to Carson Palmer style. Maybe you may get first and a third or something like that.
Where does Jimmy G end up then? Back at the Patriots?
Potentially, yeah. I could see. If the 49ers went in and gave the Lions a number 12 pick and Jimmy G, I'd be like, yeah, that's fine. I'd be quite happy with that.
Well, we'll get on to.
I'd have to get another new shirt.
Just stop buying.
Yeah,
Buy
classic shirts.
Yeah, buy a Montana shirt because that will never go
He'll
out.
die of COVID if I buy a Montana shirt. I'm just not doing it.
Like, I'm trying to. Is there any of your like 49er legends who've died? Because I mean,
Dwight Clark.
Get a Clark, yeah.
Yeah, get a Clark shirt.
Catch.
That'd be nice. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. What's the worst that could happen?
Yeah.
Unless it's some sort of Jimmy Savile style scandal, because Gary bought a Dwight Clark shirt. Well, whilst we're talking Lions, we'll also mention Anthony Lynn has gone to become their offensive coordinator. Anthony Lynn does great things with running game. He's turned some great players into some good players into great players. Unfortunately, he's going to go to the Lions. So, I mean, he's got Adrian Peterson. He's got DeAndre Swift.
He's got Kerryon Johnson.
Yeah, it might, we've been saying for years the Lions need a viable running game. Hopefully, Anthony Lynn can provide that, especially if they're going to lose Stafford.
Well, exactly. If they're going to draft a quarterback, and they're in a good position to draft a quarterback this year, they need a running game because every rookie quarterback, unless you're Andrew Luck or hopefully Trevor Lawrence is as good as that, you need a running game to take the pressure off. Yeah. So I think it's a sensible hire though. Like former head coach, bit of experience in there. Dan Campbell has got some head coaching experience, but bringing in someone with that level of experience, I think is always a good move. I liked Anthony, and he seemed like a good guy in Hard Knocks.
Yeah, same as, and actually, what you've done is, he no longer has to clock manage now. So
yeah,
fine.
It's not down to him. Awesome.
Exactly. She also mentioned Dan Campbell's press conference where he came across like Gary Busey. It was a little mad. It was a sort of a mad, chaotic energy that I just love. I'd be worried if he was my manager, as my head coach, but as a fan of football, in general, loved it.
I did love it. I kind of it was a classic. What was it? If you knock us down, we're going to get back up again, and we're going to bite your kneecaps on the way up. It's like, awesome. I was chatting to someone else about this earlier today. It's like, I feel like the Lions are turning into one of those organisations that no matter what they do, I feel like it's going to be the wrong decision. I'm not sold on Dan Campbell as a head coach. I hope I'm proved wrong, and I hope he's brilliant, and I hope the Detroit Lions actually get somewhere because for too long they've been in the doldrums. But yeah, it still doesn't. I don't know. It just doesn't feel like the right move.
No.
And that press conference didn't help.
No, it didn't. And some actual news: Nick Sirianni is the new Eagles head coach.
Because no one else wanted it.
Gone from the Colts offensive coordinator. Poison chalice there, quite frankly. Although it could be worse. Houston Texans have still not signed a head coach. We're hoping that they'll sign one before September.
Is that because the enemy can't be properly done before the Chiefs finish the playoff run?
I hope so.
Deshaun Watson hopes so. It's the only way they keep him.
Well, he's come out and said that it doesn't matter who they hire now. Like, damage is done. I'm out. I saw that the Texans had interviewed Josh McCown.
I saw that as well. Yeah,
who is still a player. Like, he hasn't got. He's got some high school coaching experience. That's it. And I think that's just a massive kick in the teeth to everyone else that could be available. Like, they didn't interview Robert Saleh. They only requested an interview with Eric Bieniemy after Watson had thrown his toys out the pram. And then there's other kind of coordinators out there, like Leslie Frazier, the defensive coordinator for the Bills, who's why can't you go and get him? And there's the Texans have had the most time to figure this out. They sacked their coach. They were the first ones to sack their coach, Bill O'Brien. So they've had the best part of 6 months, really? Well, 4 or 5 months, really, to figure this out. And I feel like they're nowhere. And I don't know what they're going to do.
No. Josh McCown just seems like they were just wandering through the halls one day. They saw Josh McCown, who is currently their backup quarterback, and just went, "Hey,
Yeah.
do you want an interview? You look old. You look old. What a job."
You said about the Eagles being a poison challenge, and I think that job does come with a lot of challenges. But I think the Texans one, I feel like there's more to that at the moment than I think it's being released to the public.
I mean, if the Eagles is a poison chalice, the Texans is the goblet at the end of Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom, or whatever it is, the last one, where of course the bloke drinks it and his face melts. That is how bad.
That's Raiders of the Ark. It was the first
Raiders
one.
Okay, I don't know. Who cares?
You're going so well with the reference.
Indy got ruined for me at Indy 4, and I just burnt the whole series after that. Horrible. Too bad. Well, I know it's only two of you here, but unless anyone has any more news.
Greg Olsen retired.
Oh, Greg Olsen retired, yes.
About time. He's done nothing for 2 years.
He's been injured for about the last 4 years, I feel like.
Was he at the Seahawks doing nothing?
Yeah, he was at Seahawks this last year.
Seemingly do it in a lot of Russ Wilson Instagram posts, and I think that's the most I've seen of him this year. So, really great quarterback, tight end even.
Might have been all right quarterback. He never got the chance.
Who knows? I'm sure he got just as concussed as he did, but really great tight end.
Played for the Bears, Panthers, and like we said, most recently they had a season in Seattle. 8,683 receiving yards, 742 receptions, and 60 touchdowns. It's pretty decent.
Not bad. Of course, this weekend was supposed to be the Pro Bowl, but it's not happening because, COVID, obviously.
The college senior bowl is happening, and they're currently in practices at the moment for that.
Good.
Which is, an opportunity for some seniors to actually show what they can do, because like the combine has been pretty much cancelled. So this is, I think the college game, going in the lead up to the draft, they're having pro days. They're not having the traditional combine. I think players are available for interview over Skype or Zoom or whatever your video channel of choice might be. So they're doing interviews over video call. I think they'll also do all the medical stuff as well remotely, which is obviously important. Players like in the past DK Metcalf, who came back from a broken neck, benefited for having a full bill of health when he was at the combine. But we're not going to see we will see 40-yard dashes, but not on a combine basis. And oddly enough, whenever you kind of compare players' numbers at the combine versus the pro day, they're always a little bit faster on the pro day. So can't really trust any of those figures. But realistically, it comes to the combine and teams know what players can do. The most important thing is the interviews. So they're going to miss out on those in-person interviews and have to do it over Zoom, which is never as good, as we know.
No, exactly. For a few weeks we've been saying the Pro Bowl lineup is garbage. So we're going to fix that next week. But
homework.
We're going to go to the quiz now. Yeah, just the two of you. So just 10
means I come second out of 4.
Exactly.
Strong.
4th and inches and Griff already have lost.
0 points.
But so 10 questions, just about NFL random. So
this year or just random?
Just random, because we did.
I
We did.
I don't live in the past, John.
We did this year earlier.
Kurt
couple of weeks ago.
This is where the content comes from. These quizzes.
So, question 1: 9 postseason losses is the current record streak for which team? Which team currently holds the record for 9 postseason losses? So that's their current streak. They've lost more, but they haven't. They haven't. But they've lost 9 in a row. Who is that? Question 2. You on mute, Gary?
I've got to write this down somewhere.
You can write it down, or I can write, or we can go. If you if you want to tell me your answer, I'll track it.
No, it's all right. It's fine. I'll write it down.
Write it down on your phone. So, number 2, the Lamar Hunt Trophy is the championship trophy for which conference? You've got a 50-50 choice. I hope you have a 50-50 choice. You might go, it's not it's not the Big Ten or
XFL.
Yeah. So, number 3, 8 players have rushed for 2,000 yards in a season. Can you name 5 of them? You'll get a point for each.
What are you going to do with all this silence, John?
Yeah,
I'm gonna be talking to myself. I was going to do a play your yards right with rushing this week, but Paul hated it so much that I haven't bothered. And of course, he's not here this week.
I liked it. I was a big fan of it.
Well, we'll bring it. I might bring it back post Super Bowl, or maybe next week.
How many have we got a name?
5. You get a point for each. Okay. Tell me when you're ready.
Yep.
I think Gary's just nodded. 4. Leroy Butler was a Packers safety. Is credited with doing the first of which now NFL tradition? Have a guess. The clue is in the question. Leroy Butler, who was a Packers safety, is credited with doing the first of which now NFL tradition? Number 5. Rowdy is the mascot for which team?
Rowdy.
He's a mascot for which team? Have a guess. What
was question 1, John?
9 postseason losses is the current record streak. Who is the team? We have discussed them today.
Oh, shit, have we?
We have.
That's wrong, then.
Ken Norton Jr., number 6. Ken Norton Jr. holds the records for most consecutive Super Bowl wins. How many in a row has he won?
Consecutive Super Bowl wins.
You what? Say that again?
So Ken Norton Jr. holds the record for most consecutive Super Bowl wins. How many in a row did he win?
Is this any player, is it? So
Ken Norton Jr. is the player. He holds the most.
Yeah, but he wasn't like a quarterback, so he moved teams and won multiple Super Bowls.
He moved teams.
Yeah.
I'm going to change that. Yeah, you reckon?
Cool. Do you want number 5 again?
Rowdy, the mascot.
Rowdy.
Right. Okay, that's what I was asking. Was it question 5?
Yeah,
I thought you were saying it's 5. The answer to
5, 6 was Ken Norton Jr. 7. Who was the first quarterback to pass 40,000 yards? He's well known.
Is he in the Hall of Fame?
I should think so. Yeah. I'm just going to check because I don't live in the past. It must be. Yeah. So, number 8, 50-50 choices here. The Immaculate Reception and the Minneapolis Miracle. Which play covered more yards?
Ooh.
Both really famous plays. Which one covered more yards? Number 9, Thomas Brady, Peyton Manning, Tony Gonzalez are tied with Merlin Olsen and Bruce Matthews for most Pro Bowl selections. How many have they had? Have a guess. I'll give a point to the closest. And final question. With 95.5 yards, which receiver leads most yards per game of all time? 95.5 yards per game. Which receiver holds the record for most all time? Okay. We'll go back. So, anyone have a guess for number 1?
Jets.
I went Lions.
It's the Lions.
I originally had Bengals, so you kind of gave it away with
Yeah. So
we've mentioned them.
Yeah. Lamar Hunt is
AFC.
Is AFC. Yeah. So 8 players have rushed for 2,000 yards. Anyone want to give me any of them?
OJ Simpson.
OJ Simpson.
Derrick Henry.
Yep.
Derrick Henry.
Adrian Peterson. Terrell Davis.
And
my last one was a guess, Emmitt Smith.
Not Emmitt Smith. But so you got 4.
Eric Dickerson.
You could have also had Barry Sanders, Jamal Lewis, or Chris Johnson, CJ2K. So, Gary, you got 4. Mark yourself.
It's not bad.
Not bad.
It's pretty good.
It was the one I thought.
Yeah.
Might.
Well, OJ congratulated Derrick Henry on Twitter.
Yeah. Didn't OJ do it? Hasn't OJ done it twice?
Yeah, he's the juice man.
Yeah. Plus in a 14-game season as well.
Plus he killed someone.
And he killed someone.
Allegedly.
Not according to the civil court.
Civil court, he did, yeah. So Leroy Butler, he was the first to do what?
Lambeau leap.
He was the first to do a Lambeau leap.
I went with defensive celebration.
Not really. I think I wanted to hear Lambeau leap. So
that is a defensive celebration, isn't it?
It's an offensive celebration.
In more ways than one.
In one way. No, it's
half a point. Yeah.
Well, you're marking yourself, so
half a point.
Half a point.
Damn right.
So Rowdy.
Cowboys.
Raiders.
Cowboys. Here's the
done.
Cowboys.
Yeah.
Of course, yeah, that makes sense.
Rowdy the Cowboy. Ken Norton Jr. 3.
I went
4.
I put 4 down it to 3. Yeah.
He won 2 of the Cowboys and then one with the
49ers. Yeah.
That's annoying.
Yeah. First quarterback to pass 40,000
Johnny
yards.
Unitas.
Oh, well done. I went Dan Fouts.
Ooh. Yeah, no, Unitas was the first. Immaculate Reception or the Minneapolis Miracle?
Miracle.
All right, Reception.
It's the Miracle by a yard.
Oh,
61 over 60. So, yeah, very tight. But, yeah, it was the Miracle. Pro Bowl selections?
15.
10.
14. So, point to Jim. I did say closest would win. You're on mute as you're calling me a dick. And 95.5 yards, most of all time.
I went Calvin Johnson.
I went Jerry Rice.
Julio Jones.
Oh,
He does get 100 yards every game. Never a touchdown.
true.
100
Yeah.
yards.
Exactly it.
Yeah.
It's gone down slightly because last year it was 96.4, so he had a down year. But only by a yard.
One down year.
Yeah.
I got 10.
10. Gary, how did you do?
I've got 8.5.
8.5. Not bad, guys.
Jim's still laughing at my half, but fuck it.
So Jim wins, Gary second, Paul and Griff third, equal third. But yeah, that's enough. That's it for this week. We'll come back next week. We'll do this. We'll preview the Super Bowl. We'll do our Super Pro Bowl squads, and
We'll have a super time.
We'll have a super time. Yeah. But thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next week. See you guys.